Welcome to Exchange Rates UK TV. It is the 28th of June 2021, taking a look at Bitcoin. We're just kind of continuing to bounce around here. I mean, when you look at the price action over the last, ever since Monday, so the last Monday, so really ever since the last week, we saw things trace last Sunday rather. Things traded up, hit the Kijun-sen, pushed down, stopped moving lower, got bought back up. Yesterday, near the end of the day, there was a nice push higher to close underneath the daily Kijun-sen again. Fast forward to today, we saw it push up a little bit, but we're below the Kijun-sen still and kind of pushing lower. We're flirting right now with crossing below the 50% Fibonacci retracement. That'll be, it may or may not be significant because there's, it is in a difficult zone now. When you look at the yearly volume profile, it's relatively thick here. Technically, it is easier. Well, I guess it's pretty equal to move higher and lower. But if it does tick down lower, it becomes increasingly easier. You know, we're close to these levels where, you could see Bitcoin trade negative for 2021. That's not outside the realm of possibility. That doesn't mean it's going to stay like that, but that is just something to pay attention to. When I look at the weekly chart, I mean, we're below the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen. And again, I was saying like last week that we have two really powerful support levels that match up really well together. So the first, actually two levels that have two things matching up for them. So the first is the top of the cloud at 22,926. The 786 Fibonacci retracement is there as well at 23,244. So that's a shared zone. And then below that, we get to the 886 Fib retracement level, which is right near the top or the bottom of the cloud, Senko Span B, which is the hardest area right now to cross below. When we fast forward to next week, things change quite a bit. Then we get into some much higher support levels compared to this week, because next week, the top of the cloud is at 27,000, and then the bottom of the cloud is basically where the top of the cloud is today. So that on the weekly chart. So that's very supportive. And again, I mean, have this arrow pointing here saying that it's very likely that we get to this 23, 24, anywhere between 24 and 27K low, and we hang out there, or we get there around August before we start, near the end of August, beginning of August, before we start to see it charge up higher again. So just some areas to pay attention to. If we do close again lower this week, then that's the third week in a row lower, which we have not seen a consecutive 3-week low like that since. We have to go back to February of 2020, where we moved from like 10,000 all the way down to a low at 3,900. Can you imagine, again, wanting to buy there because everybody was saying it's going to zero? Oh man, that was just a lovely, lovely period to buy. But yeah, I mean, we're getting into these situations where lower prices are likely, but not at these supremely huge, monstrously deep lows. Going back to the daily, again, there's a lot of reason to think that we could push down there. But because the volume profile on the yearly volume profile is relatively thick here, there's a lot of reason to suggest it's just going to like sit here and trade sideways, especially if next week we shift over to these support levels being close to our 618 and 786. I mean, it'd be pretty dramatic for it to want to dip down this week and test those levels, where next week we could just drift sideways for a while. And that's I think the sideways activity seems to be more likely as we're getting closer and closer, especially when you look at the lagging span. And the lagging span here is going to be the key identifier, because the lagging span, in order to trend, the lagging span needs to stay below the candlesticks. So it could trade sideways, into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but then Friday it needs to trade lower at 33,400. What did I say? It was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday needs to do the same. Sunday needs to do the same. But the next Monday it could trade higher, Tuesday, and so forth. But as we get into like 2 to 3 weeks ahead of today, then if it's going to be bearish, it needs to start trading at 31,500 again. So just keep that in mind. And I think the lagging span has been a very, very consistent determiner of continued trend or entering consolidation for cryptocurrencies in 2020 and 21. So that's what we should pay attention to. But until there's something a little bit more clear, we'll just keep watching this market. And hope you guys have all had a good weekend. I look forward to this week. Thank you again for watching. And from all of us here at Exchange Rates UK TV, please don't forget to like and subscribe.